Hey guys, I have a good one today for you. So I just watched Extraction with Chris Hemsworth. This is the first one, so the one that came out, and sheesh, I don't know. It's a Netflix film. I don't even know when it came out. Um, Maybe 2018. I'm not sure, but that's besides the point. So this is a an action. Um, it's like kind of like a action, gunslinger, shoot 'em up type movie. And going into it, I was just like, okay, this is gonna be like a pretty generic, senseless action shoot 'em up, kill 'em movie. But actually, I was thoroughly impressed with this story. So it centers around Chris Hemsworth's character Tyler, who is he's an ex, special ops. Um, I don't know if it's like Navy or what, but basically he's not doing the he's not doing special force work anymore. Um, and with I think it's the Australian government. Um, but basically, he gets this job from some contacts and the who he used to work with, and it's basically they want him to recover a kid of an Indian drug lord who was kidnapped by a rival drug lord, and actually, he was taken across the border over into I think Bangladesh. So Chris Hemsworth, well, his name's Tyler in the film. He basically is on his own, for the most part. He has to, retrieve the kid, and then get him out safely. So the the issue that comes into play here in this film is that there's a lot of corruption. So these gangs basically have they're in the pocket of like all the police and government officials. So that makes it even harder. So he eventually he's able to get the kid, but he's supposed to get to an extraction point, but that proves to be difficult because they shut the city down because again, like they have all these connections. They shut the city down. He has to reroute. It's like it's almost like a John Wick scenario where like the whole city is basically hired guns, hired thugs, from these criminal gangs are basically it's like they put a bounty on Tyler's head, and he's basically got to navigate through this city and try to get this kid out another way. Eventually he does have an associate, I guess an old friend that he used to work with in the force, and this guy, he takes Tyler and the kid in, and he's basically like, yeah, well, I'll cover for you, I'll shield you, but unfortunately, this is where the twist comes in because I thought this was like a very interesting plot twist. He thought he was trustworthy. His friend was trustworthy. It turns out he sold him out, and he's like, you know what, this is the best thing for you, for me, and the kid. So he sold Chris Hemsworth's character out, and he's like, I'm going to kill the kid because you're going to get paid. There's no way you're getting this kid out of here. This kid is in a dangerous life because of his father. This is the best thing that we can do for him. And Chris is just like, no. So they fight, and it's like, man, that kid, he shoots the guy, and you can tell this is like a teenage kid. It's like he didn't want to do that. He's kind of traumatized. And so there's a lot of cool fight scenes. And actually, this was David Harbour's character. The guy that he was staying with who betrayed him. He did a really good job. There are a lot of good fight scenes. A lot of the gunfights when it's close combat. When we first see Chris Hemsworth getting the kid, navigating the city whenever he first gets him. A lot of it is like it reminded me of John Wick. Like this is it's really. I mean, the camera work is good. The action is really. I really like the cinematography for that. A lot of those close range shots with like handguns were awesome. So I gotta give the directors and the stunt people, the choreographers, I gotta give them their credit for that. Very John Wick style, and I really liked that. It wasn't too over the top and crazy, to where it's like totally unbelievable. It actually seemed a little bit more believable than in John Wick. And then you have like the final battle where they shut down the bridge, and they're getting trying to get the kid across the bridge to the helicopter. But the one guy, he's got the sniper rifle and he's just like taking people out. But man, that was so suspenseful. you know the part where they're trying to get on the bridge and the guy's like, hey, stop, stop. um and the guy that was with them, which actually was um an associate who works for his father, basically the kid's father, the crime lord. The guy, who was trying to get the kid across the bridge, he works for the guy's father. And the guy's father was like, if you don't retrieve my son, then I'm going to kill your son. So he's in the gang. He does his best to protect this kid. And the thing is, I should have mentioned earlier, but yeah, actually him and Chris Hemsworth actually have to fight because neither one of them know that the other one is trying to protect and save the kid. So they have a couple scuffles, which are pretty awesome fights, by the way. But then, yeah, going back to the bridge scene, he's like, stop, 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 show me your face. He's like, take the hat off. The kid takes it off. And this guy, he takes his robe, his cloak, he just like flings it. He's got this huge machine gun. He's just like, and it's just like such a cool scene. That was like my favorite scene. And then, unfortunately, he passes away because the guy on the sniper rifle is just a killer. This dude is like second to none. And, eventually, the chick, Chris Hemsworth's friend, takes him out, and she's a great sniper, and they get the kid to safety. So it's happy ending, except Chris Hemsworth dies, unfortunately. But, he was very honorable, and he did what he thought was right. And then at the end he falls in the water, and there's kind of like a flashback to his kid, which was another interesting story they added into this movie. That he was suffering and going through depression, and um, basically just grief because his son that passed away. He was like 6 years old, I think, or something like that. And Chris Hemsworth, I feel like he was missing his son, and he looked at this kid not as like his son, but just like he was a father, and he could understand, and he did everything he could to get this kid to safety, which he eventually did. And honestly, it was a great movie. I'm really impressed with this movie. I can't really find any faults with it. Story's good. You got some good emotional parts in there. So honestly, I would give this film a 10 out of 10. So you should definitely check Extraction out.